Well, here we are at Spalding, and the car park is absolutely rammed. A lot busier than it normally is. Model Railway isn't dead yet. Well, the car park's thinned out now. We're just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Didn't get too much, enough. We got another little parcels wagon, £8. That's all intact with the buffers and the hooks. There was a couple there, same sort of money. Did manage to pick up a graffiti transfer sheet. £4. There's should be two sheets in there. I've got one of these already. They're expensive, which is why I bought it, because it's a damn sight cheaper than what they are in the shops. Then it was, well, as you can see, only 2 for 10. So we got a couple of Gilbert Coke wagons. The weathered ones. There was another couple, but I got one of these. So love them or hate them, because it's the old school one. So if I do keep a bunch of these, they're going to need some re-engineering for modern track. And the other one was a Northeastern. Not quite sure who the manufacturer is on that one. Oh, it's a Hornby. Feels like it needs a wheel weight underneath it, but yeah, that'll go for the old London Northeastern stock. And that was it. There was a bit of track points and stuff, but they were all the smaller ones, nothing worth buying. A few locomotives, but I'm not really in the market for those at the minute. Certainly not from buying from a trader where you can't test them and can't pay with protected payments. So that's it from Spalding. Well, this shed's become very temporary, as this was purchased to put all the stuff in to save the old railway shed contents. It's been utilised twice over now, and now this is the third time. As you can see, if you know cars, you'll recognise Volkswagen parts when you see them. All sorts of them. I've just my little tin shed that's going to be in the new site for the railway, hence this slightly off track, excuse the pun, video segment wherever I slip it in. Probably 6 weeks before you see it, I'll have already recorded this. But yeah, it's got a bit of a lean to it as well. I might have to get under the back and jack it up, because the heavy stuff's not come in yet. There's 3 engines, or 2 if you look at it that way. 1 complete and 2 half sort of bits. Bit more than them ones. Anyway, waffling. Let's go. So this is the offending tin shed, and like most tin sheds, it's got a hole in it. It's starting to rot out around the bottom. I was hoping to empty it, move it and reuse it, and then that wooden shed can go, because I do have to have another job under the ground where it's sitting. So I've got to move a full Volkswagen engine, bar the generator, a short engine and half an engine. Now there was a time I could lift that just about on me Todd. But that's a few years ago, shall we say. That one's about the much as I can manage. I think it's got half the barrels and pistons in one side. I don't know, there was a story behind it, but I bought a lot of them from a guy like me who was a Volkswagen enthusiast. Anyway, this is emptying, because one day this may be the very spot where a helix sits. So yeah, we've got a shit ton of stuff to do before I even get to some serious work on the site clearance. I'm still waiting for my son to get the other shed. I've got to reclad this in some kind of plastic, so it's maintenance free, because obviously there's going to be a wall as close as I can get sensibly to that wall, which means the water runoff has all got to be taken care of with a drain. And I may re-roof this section to the old cement sheets on the old cool shed, which is something like semi-detached, because the neighbour's also got one. He was going to knock it down but decided not to in the end. So yeah, I thought I'd, well, a sort of update, I guess, if you can call it that, of a manky shed that will one day be part of a shed. Gives me a bit of an idea, because the fence line there will probably be about where the wall is, although obviously camera's perspective doesn't, or perspective even, doesn't give you a very good idea. But the idea is obviously there will be a door here and my workbench along here, and then the helix, if I have a helix, starting here, and then obviously running all the way up to the hill at the minute. Yeah, so at the minute it's quagmire status. So we've got about 5 ton of muck there, oil tank to move, disabled wheelchair lifty thing, it's got to find a home for that. Well, I've got to get rid of it actually, but I need to move it and find a home for my roof box, which, yes, also needs a jet wash. So yeah, lots of work to do, plus there's all the jobs in the house before I even get to this. So yeah, a bit of a useless update, but there you are. I better go and muscle up some Popeye strength to move these. Well, I took the plunge and decided to spend, well, nearly £4 each for bloody capacitors. But while I was on the site, I bought some random items. These are for my end of train lights, because the idea is when these expire, I can gut them and put lithium batteries inside these packs and convert them. Although they should last donkeys the amount of time I'll actually have them on and use them, just early for show. And some random. Why would I be buying all this? Hand sanitizer. Have I got some problem? These were 50p each. They're actually quite handy for cleaning your glasses with this IPA solution in them. Nice little spray bottle for modelling, hey? 50p each. It's cheaper than the stuff is at Poundland. These were 94p. 500ml hand sprayers with the pump gun. So basically the same as the little cheapy spray guns you can get from the discount shops, but it's got contents in it as well. So I can use them and then reuse them. So should smell nice and be nice and sanitary, if nothing else. Well, could be the last one for today or this week. I've been waiting a few days for it, I've got to say. No boxing, just chuck it in bubble wrap and a bit of pallet wrap by the looks of it, or a mailbag. For something that costs £70. Not how I would risk packing it. Now these are unfortunately the earlier, older version with the horn hook couplings, although I presume they can be upgraded to KD, which does give you an indication probably of their age. Now the guy was asking originally the same price as a new set, £160, which again is, I think, this is, I've had something off him before, and again I've waited months for it to come down to a sensible price, or more realistic for its age. Again, you know, oh, it's brand new in box. Well, this friggin' thing's 20 years old. It's not brand new in box, is it? It was brand new when bought from the shop. You can see the sun's faded it. I don't care about the box. I'm not Hattons. I'm only interested in whether the contents is intact. Now, obviously, being an earlier model, it is not the finite detail of the last ones with separately fitted handrails, which is what you would get for your £160 now. So I don't think he's come to that realisation. He's just basically not sold them, and they've come down to £89 and didn't sell. Then he dropped them another tenner. So I figured now was the time to buy it before anyone else bids and you end up either walking away from it or see, we've got a bent step there already. That one's okay. All the same, obviously we've got to upgrade the couplings, but that's no biggie, it's par of the course. Plastic wheels, they do spin quite freely, they've got brass axles. So we'll see how we get on with those. If I was upgrading every wheel set, it would be an expensive old do. So would KD couplings as well. And I have been looking at a few others. The Pennsylvania Power and Light. I don't know whether Norfolk and Southern pull theirs or whether it's a different railroad, because these just literally don't turn up in Norfolk and Southern. CSX, Canadian, anything, probably ones they never use these gondolas, but yeah, if you want Norfolk and Southern, don't choose that as a railroad. I've only done it because I am from Norfolk, the real one over in the UK. But yeah, it's not the most plentiful of rolling stock all locomotives that are easily obtainable over here. You might be able to go in a big model shop in the States and you'd be spoilt for every one that's going. That seems to be over here. It's more the ones that no longer exist from the 50s and the 60s and maybe early from the sort of steam period, but the sort of the big four, as you would count them, or the big five US companies and Canadian, North American. This is about the hardest one to get. They weren't cheap, but they weren't going to get any cheaper. And when you consider like for like comparison, these are cheaper than some of the MGRs, the English ones, which are only that big. So when you put it into that sort of comparison, these aren't, which is why I bought them when they got dropped to the price they did. Bearing in mind I bought 10 for £100 with the postage, so these work out more money even though they're older. But I knew, like myself, there are other Norfolk and Southern enthusiasts. There's some things I'll draw the line at on price, but if I didn't pull the reel in, someone else would have done. So I won't get started on on the decals. Mark's already covered that. Yeah, I did look in at buying some decal sheets, but I was a bit bamboozled by what was available in regards to the actual materials and whether it will work on my bare bones basic brother mono printer, just to get some decals to do the Norfolk and Southern logo. And if you've seen Mark's video, they want $45 to ship a friggin' envelope with a decal sheet in what we call A5 size. I don't know, it's sort of half the legal format, or it might be legal paper. I'm looking at them, they're half that size. $15, which is probably $5 more than it would be in a shop, I'm guessing. But the actual shipping is I know international postage is not cheap, but it ain't that friggin' expensive. I'd expect to pay about $45–50 to ship this, not a bleeding envelope. But never mind. Where there's a will, there's a relative.